Welcome back to Hannity. Since the assassination of two brave NYPD officers on Saturday, the left has scrambled to distance himself from the violent anti-police rhetoric that has helped poison the minds of many, including the deranged gunman. Unfortunately for the left, many of their comments were caught on tape. Comments like these.
Sometimes, you've got a police department that has gotten into bad habits over a period of time and hasn't maybe surfaced some hidden biases.
As an African-American man who has been stopped and searched by police in situations where such action was not warranted, I also carry with me an understanding of the mistrust that some citizens harbor for those who wear the badge.
Because of a history that still hangs over us, the dangers he may face, we've had to literally train him, as families have all over this city for decades, in how to take special care in any encounter he has with the police officers who are there to protect him.
So could the killings of these two NYPD officers have been avoided if liberal leaders didn't make a race issue out of two stories that had no link to racism? Joining me now is Fox News political analyst Juan Williams and Fox News contributor David Webb. All right, I'm going to start with you, Juan. You saw the montage, and I've heard your comments, but I've got to say the direction of the Democratic Party, it's pretty troubling. And it seems like it's been basically commandeered by the very radical left wing, the progressives, that seem to be pretty anti-police.
You know, I don't think anybody's anti-police, and I was listening to the montage so carefully, Andrea, and I was wondering, what was it that you heard that I didn't hear in terms of saying that's anti-police? I think lots of black parents tell their kids not to display any anger towards a cop. Yeah, because you know what?
To fear the police, Juan. You think that a lot of parents run around and tell their kids to fear the cops, like Bill de Blasio tells his son.
I'm just telling you. I mean, if you're asking me to tell you the truth, I'm telling you the truth. That's not unusual for a black family.
To fear the cops.
I'm telling, even in the city you live in, New York, where the cops were harassing, intimidating lots of young black kids with the stop and frisk, the profile. Andrew, you gotta understand a little bit here.
Harassing and intimidating, David. Stop and frisk is a policy in New York that disproportionately benefits minority communities.
Crime rates were down 44 to 48% in minority communities. But also, the words we can argue about, Andrea, because we can, Juan will say we interpret it this way, or black parents tell their kids this. I also happen to know black parents who don't tell their kids what Bill de Blasio said, but actions matter to me. Kesey Motley, nobody's heard her name. Probably most people don't know her. Co-director of community affairs, just hired by Bill de Blasio in Brooklyn. She, and I've got him here, outed by the New York Post, tweets since 2012, 2013, F the police, Eric Dormer, why not kill more imperialists? And I'm paraphrasing her tweets. It's up on the New York Post. If he really has this love of police that he's trying to claim now, and we should support him, why hire someone who tweets, I hate the police and F the police, and that, I mean, we're talking about actions versus words. This is why I don't believe de Blasio. This is why I don't believe Eric Holder. This is why I don't believe Obama. They can send Biden all they want to come and do the funeral, but it's disingenuous because they've lost that trust, and their actions, Kesey Motley, perfect example.
Juan, what did you think about the president's statement? Because he hasn't found the opportunity to step to a microphone in Hawaii, and we know that microphones do exist in Hawaii. And instead, the administration is sending Joe Biden to the funeral of the police officers. But I don't think it's enough. I mean, look, President Obama has waited on so many issues, from gay NBA players to the Cambridge issue. He cherry picks which local issues he wants to insert himself in. Do you think it's a mistake for him not to weigh in on this, if he is pro-police, as you say?
I didn't say, look, I'm telling you, I think that the president and Attorney General Holder have rightly called attention to the need for police reforms to make sure that the very trust that David was just talking about exists between the police and the communities that they protect and serve. That's not anti-police. That's not rude. That's not encouraging violence. That's, in fact, saying good police need to be encouraged, held up, and their behavior emulated.
Well, let's do that, Juan, and
That's
we'll agree.
implying that there's bad police.
Why doesn't the nation's chief law enforcement officer, Eric Holder, actually come to the funeral then? Where is he? And by the way, New York, a very diverse NYPD, one that is a majority-minority department that I have worked with and known these guys for decades. They protect communities. They protect minorities. They reduce crime rates. So this trust, Juan, it's gone. I'm talking to the frontline guys, the detectives, the sergeants, the precinct captains, and I'm telling you that they will do their jobs. They will protect New Yorkers, but the numbers matter. 214 days for Andrew Tamarisi, Professor Gates, hours, 15 minutes for Ferguson, for Mike Brown, the grand jury verdict, and nothing from this president. He is pushing a narrative for his base. That's tragic, and that is divisive.
I don't think he's pushing any narrative except that he hears, and I wish you guys would hear, that there are lots of people in the street who feel that the police are not protecting and serving them. And
there
as a
are more
result, you
people
get
who
this
feel
lack
that they
of
are
trust.
protecting the
Well,
of all colors.
Look,
I
do.
want to bring up something.
I
You
feel
talk
that
about
they're
the people in the
protecting me.
streets.
I feel they're protecting my property and my life. But I'm just telling you, especially when it comes to poor people, especially people of color, that trust has broken down. And to call for police reforms is not to say you hate the cops. I was a police reporter
Here's
for
a
many
question
years.
that's never asked, Juan. Police departments have been trained up. The federal government could not find anything wrong with NYPD in their last round of investigations on Eric Holder. So what exactly needs to be reformed? We hear the talk of reform. We never hear specifics. The reason is there is very little to be done. There's always training. There's always community relations. There's beat cops, broken windows. There are lots of programs that are in place and are effective in all communities, regardless of color. And the police across this nation do not need to be painted as a failure in this nation. They are success, and they're a good part of our crime.
You would have to be totally out of touch to not understand that after what happened in Ferguson, what happened in Staten Island, what happened there was news today about a case in Milwaukee where a kid was shot, and again, no indictment. And you'd have to be concerned that people are now saying, so the police are free to do anything.
I have to call you on that. I heard you say earlier today you have more of a chance of getting shot in a gangbang on the street than you do by being shot by a cop. What happened to the Juan Williams? It was only like, what, 12 hours ago you said that?
No,
you totally
it's the truth.
changed.
I did not change. I hope you're hearing me clearly. Look, I'm telling you, I was a police reporter. I think cops protect me, my wife, my family, my property daily. I am in their debt up to the top of my head. But I'm going to tell you that I think just like there can be journalists who sometimes act badly and don't do their job, sometimes cops can, get rough with the authority that we as the government have given them.
But don't paint an entire police force in this nation.
Nobody is doing that.
Yes, they are. They are painting as police.
I think, this is where you guys get political.
Bill de Blasio and Barack Obama won. Those three are tied together. His go-to man on race and de Blasio's right-hand man sitting next to him on race.
Yeah.
And that is a racist in the middle of this.
They are. They really are, Juan. They're race baiting. And I'll tell you what, if these cops start pulling out of high-crime neighborhoods, who does that hurt the most? The communities, the communities that you speak
do their job.
about defending. And that message that there's some good cops, but there's some bad cops, that's fueling all of this as well.
There's a majority good cops. 99% of cops are great cops.
David and Juan,
I would agree with that.
Fiery, thank you.